This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show today with lead singer, guitarist, and founder of the heavy metal band Prong, as well as former member of Danzig and Ministry, Tommy Victor. So what inspired the title of the new album, 10, No Absolutes?
I don't think we have a control over anything. I mean, I said that earlier where, once you start waving flags and being sure of yourself, then that's exactly the time when you're going to get knocked down. I mean, it's like, that's just how I see it. I mean, and people do this with their vision of themselves. It's like, when people, like, I'm sure you were mentioning girlfriends. It was like, I've been with some shady women in my life who are like, I'm a good person, and they're so sure that they're a good person, and no, you're not. And it's like, as soon as you start labeling yourself or other people, it's all wrong. It's like, that's the danger thing, is when you start, you've come to this realization of who you are, and that's it, and I'm this kind of guy, and I've always done the right thing. And when I hear people say that, and more people are doing that these days, to me, it's like, we come from a product of the 70s where everyone's like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, like finding yourself. People make fun of that these days, but there's something to that. It's like, that whole thing where we went through the 40s and the 50s, and then 60s came around, and people were like, well, yeah, I don't know what I am. I got to find myself. Now we make fun of those people, but because we're in this time of, like, everyone's on Facebook, I like this, I like that, this is me, I'm a extreme metalhead, and like, all these labels they put on myself. So your life is over. There's nothing more new to experience.
Inspired the song lyrics, and I'm going to start off with Ultimate Authority.
Well, that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek in a lot of ways, on the other hand, it's like, that's about agendas, and I do think that it's a little bit about karma too. So it's along the lines of what I was just talking about. It's like, you're gonna get what you pay for, and that there's consequences to everything that you do.
Belief system.
Belief system is like, it's sort of what I was talking about before. I mean, regardless of what, it's almost like based on self-help stuff, or like, personal coaching. And it's like, sometimes I have to have a belief system. I have, I have to consult with the higher power that may not, or maybe it does exist, or maybe it doesn't. But the fact that I have to trust that this higher power is somehow knows what's best for me. So you pause, and that's the only thing for somebody like me who's been like beat up for so many years, and like I said, like when I was a kid, left alone and not knowing what's going on. It's like, some way of getting through the times. Faith. And it doesn't mean God. That doesn't mean anything. You can have faith in something material. It's like even in the movie Major League, that one Latino ball player, he had, like, it's sort of like a Santeria object that you're able to get some strength from. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I think humans need that. Like, they need some guidance from whatever, in order. I think we're computers, and we have to reinforce ourselves with something positive in order to get through certain situations.
Cut and dry.
Cut and dry is almost, it has a little political, and it's along the same theme again, where people are saying, I'm cut and dry, like, I'm for I'm a member of society, and I'm a good member of society, and I'm doing all the right thing, and and then their pension comes up, and then they get fired, and they're like, then they're crying, and it's like, well, you know what? It's like, you were a firm believer in this way of life, and then you thought what everybody else was doing was wrong, and now you're fucked. So it's like, that's about it. Like, it's a two-part, like, it's a story, that song, where it's you can't be, like, there's no way I could be deceived by the government. It's almost like like people are like, yeah, like I'm the American way, or this way, this is what it's supposed to be, and then as soon as, like, something happens to them, like again, like they're not able to get a certain social program or something. They get fired from their job. Then they're like, now they're screwed because they didn't realize that there was any other options ever. It was just cut and dry. It's like, they never think they could be deceived. They never, they can't live a lie. It's impossible for anything wrong to happen to them.
Well, anybody that thinks that is deceived.
Yeah, that's the irony of it. So like the second verse, the first verse of that is like, yeah, this person's all like, and then I mean, being an outsider, I'm like, I'm waiting. Like there's some people that I know of that. And I always say like they walk between the raindrops, and it's like, it's like, yeah, everything's going great. It's like, I did this and I did that, bragging about themselves continually. Like, yeah, and then my kid is like, oh yeah, he's doing really good, and blah blah blah. And like, I'm like listening to this for, I'm just like, I can't wait to see a tearful revelation. It's like, it's a kind of an evil thing with me. It's like I'm gonna sit and watch until like something bad happens to this person, and then like they're just screwed because they went out and shouting their mouth off about how great everything was, and then that's not how life works. It's like the inevitable will happen, something, and it's like, just be careful. Don't be so proud of yourself.
Well, the Bible says pride cometh before a fall.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's like. I mean, pride is a very dangerous. That's like the biggest evil with mankind. It's like, especially when people are shouting their mouths off at you and trying to make themselves feel better, feel bigger than you. And it doesn't hurt me that much as much as it was, but you're just hit with it, especially in this industry all the time. It's like, and it's easy to feel like everyone else is doing better than you.
Well. You're living outside the matrix.
That's true.
Yeah. There's very few of us, but we know what reality is because we've lived it.
Well, I don't know if I know what reality is. I mean,
well, you suffered, man. You had a hard life.
Reality is suffering and self-sacrifice and not making your but there's no way I do this. I don't want to get. I mean, I still think that I know more and I'm better than everybody else. But I know and ultimately that's wrong. So you know what I mean?
Fine. No, I get it. Look, nobody's perfect. Yeah. Nobody is. What's next for Tommy Victor and Prong?
Boy, I said earlier, boy. I said I'm really not a crystal ball. I have to keep on trudging the road of happy destiny somehow, and I'm definitely gonna make another record, and hopefully I'll continue making records. I mean, that's the thing, and doing sort of what we've been doing. I've come out with 4 records in the last 4 years. So, it's like I want to keep pushing these out. I want to, it would be great to have like an extraordinary amount of records out, regardless how they're received but by the time this whole thing's over. So, one day at a time, as getting through the daily reprieve is important. I don't forecast too much, but another record's going to come along the way, and rapidly.
Tell me something. I looked at your tour dates. It just looks like grueling. Okay, how are you able to deal with that and not lose your mind?
Belief system.
Okay.
It's like I trust in the art gods that regardless of what I do, they still have some love for me somehow, that things will work out the way they want it to.
And with that, Tommy Victor, thank you for being on the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show.
Eric Blair show. This guy rules.
Thank you. Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Tommy Victor. Signing off. Bye-bye.
The Blairing Out show.